one thing I've noticed when I work with clients is a lot of people don't eat enough food, and they're like, I can't lose my fat, and it doesn't make sense to eat more.
Oh my God.
But like most of the time they have to eat more, and it's not just eat more, it's eat more balanced food.
Chasing in the park, dancing in the dark. Maybe you're right, maybe all is hard. You just gotta see it like the old white swan. You can be
What's up, everybody? It's Jack from Pure World here, and today I'm with my friend Margaret. Margaret, for anybody who's watching or listening who doesn't know who you are, do you want to give them a quick rocket pitch?
Yeah, so I was saying to you, Jack, I think this question is one of the most difficult questions to be asked anytime I'm in a networking event, or even with family sometimes. It's so hard to answer this, but I'll do my best to give you a long list shortened. But I help people feel good physically and mentally through exercise and nutrition. I also am a content creator, so I create content for myself, but also for other brands, and we do that through photography and videography. I also am the creator of Sweat Energy, which is a fitness app that will be launching very soon. So this spring.
When people are watching, it could even be already launched. Who knows?
I hope so, because this is good content around it too.
Yeah.
And one thing recently, I am the first female ring announcer for CES Boxing. So that's pretty cool. And I'm actually a student as well. So as of today, it was my first day. I enrolled in a course and I am learning all over again.
Awesome. That is a long list of things. Lots to talk about. I think the best way to just open up the conversation is to talk. I mean, being a ring announcer, your app is about healthy lifestyle, right? I don't know much about it, but obviously we'll get into it. And then also you're saying that like you started your journey of like content creation around the whole health field. So I think we should go back just about your story of like your healthy lifestyle and where you really began that journey.
So my journey began, I think I was in college when I wanted to put on muscle, because I think it was like the lack of nutrition, proper nutrition, going out, not really taking care of myself. I just lost a lot of weight. Some people gain a lot of weight. I lost a lot of weight, and people told me I was skinny. So I wanted to put on muscle to get stronger. So that's literally what like catapulted everything. And that's when I started to hit the gym. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was trying. And then I found a lot of people online on a similar journey as me. So then I started to learn a lot through their pages, and then I started posting my stuff and what I was learning on my page. And that's kind of how I learned. It was through the internet, and eventually I decided I should probably get certified because people started asking me for advice. And that's kind of how I really got into it. And I would say nutrition was the thing that was the biggest for me. I think a lot of people would think fitness is or exercise, but nutrition was what like fascinated me. And that's what really got me into this health and wellness fitness journey.
Interesting. So it was during college or after college?
Throughout. Yeah. It started in college. I would say I got serious after I graduated, but when I was in college, that's when I started to notice and started to like think about my body in a way I hadn't when I was younger, because I was always so active. Like I didn't care. I was just like having fun. And then in college, I think that's when I started to focus on that more, because other people were telling me that my body looked this way. And I was like, oh, like I didn't think of myself this way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think college is an interesting time for people because it's such like it's different from the rest of their lives. For me personally, I had been an athlete for my 18 years up until college. Like literally when I was very, very young, I was doing athletics. And when I got into college, I was no longer a high school athlete. I wasn't really an athlete at all. And I had only been in the gym to prepare for athletics, for sports and stuff. And so now that I wasn't an athlete anymore, I didn't go to the gym for like 2 years straight, first 2 years of college, and it totally transformed my body. And it was the first time that like like I realized, oh wow, yeah, my body is changing. And like I think that a lot of people go through that during those times, those 18 to 22 period. So what were your early learnings? What were your early findings? What were the things that you changed first?
Well, I would say some of the things oh my God, I was so lost. And it's funny to look back and think I thought this would give me results. But when I graduated college, I started working in a hotel and I started to eat, basically, whatever they had like for you.
Yeah.
And, I started getting into nutrition. So I started wanting to eat other things. And I thought that in order for me to get the body type that I wanted, which was like muscular and toned, I had to lose weight and I would be eating less, but it's the total opposite. It's actually, you need to eat more and you need to work out heavier to get that body type. So I was doing it in reverse. Brendan, my fiance, he was the one that told me like, no, he's like, you need to put 10 pounds on. And I was like, I do? Like, no, I just didn't believe it. And it took me a while to realize that, but that was one of my biggest discoveries. Yeah.
And I think that that is such a ingrained idea that like the weight is negative. Like you always want to take off weight, but there's this new revolution in health and fitness that's like actually the weight isn't necessarily a bad thing, which is interesting for sure.
It really is.
So how about calorie counting? Like, did you do that? And what is your perspective on calorie counting?
So throughout this journey, I've been on it for a while now, like over maybe 5 years now. I started to at one point. I learned a lot. I think actually at that point in my life, it was probably a good thing because I realized how much more I needed to be eating. And I understood what a carb was, what a fat was, what protein was. Before that, you could tell me, cheese, like what is it? Is it a carb? Is it a protein? Is it both? Like I couldn't tell you. So like I learned a lot. As I've gotten older, my thought on all things fitness has changed so much. And that's another reason why I was interested in creating the app and the reason what is the meaning behind it. And it was all mostly because I just changed so much as a person. So I don't calorie count anymore, but my thoughts on it is I think if you use it in a healthy way, it can be beneficial for you, especially at a time in your life. I would definitely not suggest doing it for the rest of your life. I think that it can get really, restrictive, but you can learn a lot.
Yeah, for me, I just went to this new nutrition store that opened up in town, and they have the that like electro thing where you like measure all sorts of metrics about your body, like your body fat percentage and stuff like that. And then from that, like the person who gave me that test talk to me about like some changes that I could be making to get the ideal body type that I would be looking for. And they told me like, this is the amount of calories I should be eating. And so like literally the day after, 2 days after, I was like, okay, I'm going to download a calorie counting app and I'm going to try to count my calories for the day. And I was like, at the end of the day, I was still like 700 calories short. And I'm like, I don't even know what to eat. Yeah. Right. Am I going to make another omelet? Like, am I going to have a second protein shake for the day? Like, I guess so. But it was just like an interest. That was like the first time I ever counted calories. And then I honestly, like, I resorted back to my original thinking. Like, I've always kind of grown up like with this idea that like, your body, like the goal of your body is to be efficient. It's to be like an efficient mechanism, and like eating more food than you need. Like if you don't have a problem with your energy, then eating more than what you need seems almost like what would be the word? Like that's such a privilege for us in America, us in America to be like, I need to be eating more. I don't have any like it's not like I'm starving. It's not like I don't have enough energy because I know that like I'm eating you know, the things that are giving me energy, but like, I just need to eat 700 more calories today.
Yeah, I've been there, and oh goodness, it's not fun. I that's why I don't like focus on that so much anymore. But I know if I want a certain body type, like, yeah, you kind of have to do those things. But like I was saying, like my thoughts on it has changed so much. Like when I first started working out, like I wanted the aesthetic, I wanted to put muscle, I wanted to look this way, I had my inspo. But now it's like, I just want to feel good mentally, I want to feel good physically, and I want to be ready for all these awesome opportunities that may come my way. And I know that exercise and eating healthy and balance is going to give me that. And of course I want to look good too, but my main focus has shifted so much. Before, like it was just aesthetics. Now it's not.
One thing that this nutritionist told me was, and not in a negative way, I don't want to be like, she told me this thing and I'm trying to fact check it with you, but there's this concept that I thought was really interesting that she talked about was like I'm burning a lot of calories because I'm training for a marathon right now.
Ooh, okay.
So like in one run, like 2,500 to like 3,000 calories in one day of exercise.
Wow.
And so that's honestly like enough for like the whole week, like in terms of a calorie deficit. But she was saying that if you're not eating enough, then your body is like storing what you eat as fat. And like when you're running, you're not necessarily burning the fats. So, like some sort of interesting thing, like to really like reinforce this idea that I should be eating more because my body is being super like efficient with the food that I've eaten and storing it as fat, which is like less likely to burn than the carbs or something.
It can happen. One thing I've noticed when I work with clients is a lot of people don't eat enough food, and they're like, I can't lose my fat, and it doesn't make sense to eat more.
Oh my God.
But like most of the time they have to eat more, and it's not just eat more, it's eat more balanced food.
Wow.
Usually increase their protein. Mostly people get it through their fats and their carbs, which you want to be eating. You definitely don't want to eliminate that, but getting it enough protein in is really important too, like a balancing. So yeah, it can happen. You know, when you are a runner, you will burn muscle. It's just how it goes. That's the one thing. So, you know, when you think of like body types, like your body type may change when you're running and training for a marathon. It's just right. The way it will be. But I mean, it's amazing. You'll have incredible cardiovascular health, but it's different. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Interesting.
But it's a totally different, you know, than the average runner.
Okay. Now that we've covered my personal questions, I want to know a little bit about this app. You talked a little bit about it. What was your motivation? How did the idea that you start an app even come?
Oh my God, there's so many thoughts that come to my mind. So it's tough I can go in so many different directions. But overall, I would say I share so many workouts on my social media. So it only made sense for me to do this. At the moment, I do challenges. So I'll do, you know, everyone does them all together. And I've kind of been known for that in my community with my followers. But I was doing it, you know, at one point for free. Then eventually, you know, I'm like, this would be cool if I could make a living off this. Like, I don't want to charge anyone, but I also would love to be able to do this better for you guys. So then I worked with an app and we did charge a small amount and people still signed up. So I was like pretty excited about that. And I now want to brand it exactly the way I want, my style, my thought process behind it. And that's where Sweat Energy came from. Sweat Energy is the fitness app that I'm launching. And it's also, like I was saying earlier, exercising to feel good physically and mentally, and not so much those aesthetic goals. But if you follow a program within the app, you can absolutely get incredible goals in terms of, you know, aesthetic as well. But yeah, I was struggling at one point. It was like, I would say 2021, right after like COVID. And I just was not motivated to work out. And I have built this platform, I built a business, and I just could not work out. Like I just was dreading it. I would go weeks without working out, and, you know, sharing like old workouts. And I'm like, I gotta get this together. And I was like, what was it that I loved about working out so much? Because I did at one point. And I was working out in my home gym, which I was so excited to create, and eventually I just wasn't motivated to work out there anymore. And I was like trying to figure it out. And there's almost like this climax of a moment when you work out where you've already warmed up, you've maybe done a couple of reps and a couple of sets, and you start to like warm up. Your hands might get a little clammy, and you may break a sweat if you're a sweater or not, and you're starting to breathe heavier, and it's like that feeling, and you're kind of just like in it to win it, and you're putting in more work than you thought you could. And it's that feeling. I was like, I like that feeling. That's why I do it. And then after, you're in a better mood, you're nicer, you're just right after workout, like you feel like you can do a lot of things, and it's remembering that, and you're transferring that good energy. So that's where I was like, ooh, sweat energy, like you're transferring good energy. And that's what I want everyone to feel like when they work out with me. And I just love the idea behind it versus just working out to, burn calories.
Wow. That's awesome branding. That's a really cool mission. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, working out and just like fitness in general has always had this recently gamification of it has become really, really popular. Like you see a lot of these like new age technology driven gyms where you're like tracking like how much you're working out, and you're competing against people and stuff like that. And you mentioned that you were running challenges.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like when I hear challenge, that sounds like it's kind of in the world of fitness gamification. So can you talk a little bit about like what the challenges are, and are the challenges still part of the app?
Yeah, they absolutely will be. And I find challenges to be something that motivates people really well. So the challenges that I offer they can be 30 days. A lot of them I have been just the month, but in the app, they'll be longer, maybe 3 months. And we do them all at the same time. So, there's a start date, there's an end date, and there's accountability, but there's also community. So you're not feeling like you're doing this alone. And there's something about committing to something and being able to I got a couple more weeks. There's something that drives people to continue. Mm-hmm. Does it for me, does it for other people. And so I find that challenges work really well. It works well for people to stick with their goals. And it's just been a model that I've used that it's been pretty successful.
Yeah, I think the idea of holding people accountable through community is really, really powerful. And you see it like in book clubs, even to have me read a book on my own. What am I but if I have to read a book because, back in school, because I'm going to get tested on it, and there's a quiz every week, I have to read up to the chapter. That's what keeps me motivated, keeps me moving forward. So having a book club would be something where it's we're having our discussion on this chapter this week. And so I think it's the same with fitness, to have that community. It's and I don't know how your challenges are formatted. Is it like you have to complete these workouts by the end of the week, or what's the format for it?
So when I did it through another fitness app, it was a cool concept. So you had to prove you finished the workout with a sweaty selfie. I don't think I'll have that component, although I personally loved it because I got to see the faces of people working out that I never knew existed. I was like, oh my God, it brought me so much reward, because it's like, oh, you from Japan, you're in your basement and you're showing me what you look like. How cool. But I know that some people don't love that. I mean, I personally may not want to post a selfie after I work out. I mean, I never liked how I looked in them, and I was like, I'm going to post this. Yeah. But so what it will be is, there'll be so many workouts per week, depending on the challenge, and you need to complete them all by the end of the week. And then, I mean, if we're flexible, if you have to do it the following week, as long as you get all the workouts done by the end of the challenge, that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest thing, is just staying consistent.
That's really cool. So this is kind of your app that you are guiding, you're going to own it yourself kind of, and you can do whatever you want with it. Yeah. Moving forward.
So I have a tech partner, and they're the ones that focus on the the back end stuff that I have no idea about. And yeah, and then I'll share my content, and they're awesome. If I need, things changed and stuff, they're able to do it.
And how do people pay for it? Like, what's the pricing model?
So it's a subscription model. That way people can stay in the app consistently. Before, it wasn't a subscription model. It was just per challenge. And I just found that people would do the challenge and then we got to get them back in for the next challenge. And it was tough because I didn't know who was signing up because it wasn't my app. It would be cool to be able to offer just challenges if someone wanted to do just a challenge versus the subscription model. Because I know some people are funny with subscription models. I'd be open to that. But when we start, it will be, it'll be monthly.
Well, so you to me, I think there could be 3 different pricing levels. The most expensive is if you just pay for 1 month. If it were a 3-month challenge, then that is maybe less expensive than paying individually for 3 months. But if you pay for the whole year, it's cheaper per month than both of those options, So there's incentive to buy the entire year. There's some incentive to at least buy a 3-month challenge.
Yeah, I like that.
To push people away from just doing month to month. Because if you can get them to buy a whole 3-month challenge, then that's 3 months as opposed to just 1 month, which is interesting. I'm also interested in how you found this technical partner.
So how did I find them? I think they found me.
Okay.
So they actually have done yoga apps, and they have done a handful, not many, fitness apps. So we started talking about a fitness app, and they had the ability to do it, and they were interested in bringing on another person to do an app for. So they're a whole team. I've met him, Sonny. He's from Breakthrough. Cool. He's awesome, and he's super smart. And he has his whole team. Everyone's been super nice. And they've been, so patient with me too, because when I was like, yeah, I want to start an app, I did not realize the amount of work that meant. I was actually delusional about it because I was like, yeah, next month. No. It's been almost a year and I'm still working on it because, you have to film exercises, you have to edit them, you have to name them, you have to give descriptions, then you have to enter them, then program them. And then, not everyone's at the same level of fitness. So you need different versions like beginner, intermediate, advanced. Wow. Then you need branding images. Then you need everything else. So
it's a whole business.
And, Brendan has been a great help. I've had, a couple other people have helped me with little things, but it's just a lot more than I expected. And I'm also doing a bunch of other things. So sometimes that gets a little distracting, I have had a couple cool opportunities that come my way that I'm not going to pass up, but they also take my time, energy, and attention. So yeah.
Wow. So you've been building this for almost a full year.
I hate to admit it, but yeah.
I think that's...
it makes sense. It
sounds super on point with almost every other person I've spoken to who are trying or have built apps. It does take time. It also takes investment. Yeah. Have you invested a lot of just your own money to fund the development of it? Or did you have to take out a loan? Do you have other investors, other co-owners? How, if you don't mind talking about it?
They've been awesome. So we've had an agreement, but a big portion of it will be like a revenue share. So, for someone like me that doesn't want to put, a lot of money up front, this is a good opportunity, a good way to make it work.
Yeah,
so,
totally.
I
don't have anything else beyond that, but that's cool. It's because apps can be expensive.
Oh yeah. You gotta put a lot down. So this was a great way for me to be able to have an app, brand it myself. It's in the App Store as Sweat Energy, not some other company that you find me through. And it's worth it.
Yeah. And have you thought about, I'm sure you have because you're just in the fitness industry, but the fitness industry is so surrounded by apparel brands and by supplement brands, like nutrition brands. Are you affiliated with any of those? And what is your perspective on all of them? And have you ever thought about incorporating those apparel brands and nutrition brands with the app?
Good question. I've been through a few that I've worked with, and I still work with some. I've really enjoyed working with First Form. They've been a great supplement sponsor. I've had the pleasure to work with so many different clothing brands. Like some of them are like, it's interesting in the influencer world, like especially when it comes to supplements and clothing. Some supplement companies are better than others. Like First Form is great. But a lot of the clothing brands, they will want to just send you clothes and then they'll give you like a code and then you just get a commission, where a lot of influencers outside the fitness space will just get like brand deals with like, a company. So I feel like I really do think there's like an error with the fitness industry. Like we can't keep accepting free things all the time, because other, creators will get paid for some of that stuff. But the back end is you can still make a lot of money through commission, and you also need clothes constantly. So you're like, right, I'll just accept it, because you're always, it's so organic. And I think that's why it's become so easy just to be like, you can get this gifted because we're going to wear it because we need clothes. Yeah.
And I just think like that industry is saturated with people who want to start businesses.
Yeah.
Like every high schooler wants to start a apparel brand. And if they are interested in fitness, it's going to be a fitness apparel brand. It's like, they're just like, it is a low barrier to entry into that, into fitness apparel. But then also like with supplements, I know that they're like, you can just, like Black Label or White Label, I get them confused with like an existing supplement and then just put your logo on it. So that's super easy for somebody to just start a brand that way.
It absolutely is. And one of the easiest to start with is BCAAs. And that's why you see a lot of companies like sell it, because it's super cheap to make and it's easy profit. And sometimes people market it and it can help you on your fitness journey, but it's not like the first thing you should take. But it was one of the first supplements I took because that was, given to me.
What is that?
So it can help. It's branch chain amino acids, and it can help with building protein. If you're not, I can't think of like all of the technology, but it's basically like if you are looking to put on muscle, it will help you be able to continue putting on muscle by taking this supplement, because you can burn muscle so fast. It's something along those lines. It's been a while since I've taken one, or taking it. Sometimes it's a powder, sometimes it's a capsule, but to answer your other question, if I've ever thought about doing it, of course I have. I think it's so exciting, especially in the clothing world of it. But this actually brings me to how I met you and just so many thoughts. So when I was at the event that Shannon hosted, which was a pretty awesome event.
Good friend Shannon. Give her a shout out.
The Connector, Shannon Fairweather. Yeah. She had an awesome networking event. How did you hear about it?
Probably directly from her.
From her? Okay.
Yeah, and I had just met her like days before the event.
That's how awesome she is. Yeah. So we're in a beautiful room, skyline, Boston views at nighttime, and we're all in this really big oval. And we're all drinking a Noka, which is boozy lemonade. Yeah. And I think she maybe even had us start with a meditation. Yeah. Like a minute meditation or something. Yeah.
I think we probably did some mindful exercise.
Something like that. Yeah. And then we all went around and we talked a little bit about ourselves. And actually really happy we did that. Although I usually don't love that part because it's like a little nerve wracking. Like, what do I say? Yeah. But it actually led me to have a conversation with you. And now you're at my apartment.
Yeah. We were talking about hemp at the time.
So this is what it brings me to that. So I thought about, at that time, which might have been a year ago now, I'm not sure. I was thinking about what is my next step? Is it going to be, what? Like at the time, I did not have the thought of the fitness app 100%. And was it clothing? Was it this? One of my values is sustainability. And I did not want to start a clothing brand that just was going to be like fast fashion. I just didn't want to go that route. So I started looking to sustainable options, and I found that hemp was way more sustainable than cotton. And it's actually like, there's so many benefits to it. So I started like ordering samples of hemp and trying things. And I just had no idea I knew no one else that knew about hemp at that time. And so I don't know if you remember what I said when we went around, but I basically said something along the lines like, I'm trying to figure out what my next step is, but I know one of my values is sustainability. And so I was really like hung up on the hemp. I just didn't know how to do it because it's not easy. And if you're starting a business out, starting with a sustainable product like hemp is not the easiest way. There are way easier ways to go about it and start making money, but I just didn't want to do that way. Anyway, so we're in the circle, and now Jack, you start talking about Pure World, and you're talking about hemp backpacks, and I'm like, what in the world?
That's so funny.
This is like, the thing I'm researching at home. No one knows anything about hemp. And then I meet you, and then we start talking, and I was like, wow. And you told me your story with Nepal and the hemp, and I just was like blown away by that. But at that time, I decided, to come full circle to this now, Sweat Energy, the app, wasn't any carbon footprint, it was digital. And I was like, this is a good way for me to start, maybe make some money, and then take that money and like do something else with it, but in a way that matches my values. Yeah.
And I'm working with this app right now, and I'm like, You can just give free trials to people, and it doesn't even require that you send a piece of inventory or ship something. And you can just snap your fingers and send them a code to give them a free trial on your thing. And it's like, that is so scalable. And that is the huge benefit of having a software product.
Absolutely.
As opposed to having something tangible where you're like keeping inventory of like, and that's what I have gone the route where like I'm counting inventory, and I'm hiring fulfillment teams, and I'm working with manufacturers, and you're working with a manufacturer too. It's just they are manufacturing software. But definitely those are the huge benefits to software. Now, on the other hand, software does have a higher barrier to entry in terms of like the cost to develop the minimum viable product. But once you've developed the software, it's what they would call a fixed cost. Like it doesn't really change no matter how many people are using the app. Now you might have to pay for the data if people are uploading photos or something. But in general, once you've made the app, no matter how many people are using it, like it doesn't change that cost that you put up front. And so,
and there's no cap, like you don't have to worry about the inventory piece of that.
It's difficult for me to ship to Japan.
Yeah.
But you could have somebody on your app in Japan.
Yeah.
And you could be providing them value. And so your market just scales.
And was another thing that attracted me to doing an app, because I'll be honest, I never thought I would do an app. It wasn't something I was ever interested in. It just made sense for me in my situation. But I do have people from all around the world. It's not just Massachusetts or Rhode Island. So having an app, like I can help someone in Japan or countries I've actually never even heard of, that they're like, they tell me they're from. I'm like, this is so cool. So it is a really cool way to connect with people and still offer them value. So,
and I also want to like just touch upon like the idea that you were already doing a part of like what your app is going to provide. You already like test ran it using someone else's app. And so you were able to test the market. You were able able to test like, okay, I know people will pay for it.
Yeah.
So the worst thing you can do is to build an app and then realize nobody wants to pay for it. You were like, oh, I didn't even.
Yeah.
Wait, people can get this already for free?
Yeah.
Why would they pay for my app that I just spent $100,000 to build? And that's where people run into serious problems. So it's like, my advice is if you're trying to start an app, I mean, that's big dreaming, but everybody wants to start an app nowadays. Try to solve the problem that you want to solve with your app without having to build the app.
Yeah,
first.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And just see if people would actually pay for that service on a small scale. And then you can dream big and automate it by creating the app or something.
Yeah, you like what I'm doing, you don't need an app to do that. You can use someone else's app. You can even use a website. It's just easier with the app. And one thing I'm super excited with Sweat Energy is I'm able to be more involved in like the community just by like creating events and, when we launch new recipes, like let's go to a kitchen and let's like get some people that are either subscribers or friends or just interested in content creation and come together and let's make some recipes together for fun content. And that to me sounds so exciting and fun. So those things I would never do with someone else's app, but I would do it for my own, like just the branding and doing like pop-ups and like that marketing creativity. Like I'm super excited to be able to do that in like all different levels.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think like really you are living the dream of a lot of entrepreneurs is to have an app on the App Store.
It's exciting. It's obviously nerve-wracking too. I mean, like you said, I have test drived it, so like I know that there is interest, but it's forever in a way. Like you keep getting content on that app. You can't fall short. So that I have to have my schedule in line because you need enough value on there. People are gonna stop paying. If they don't find it. So it's a commitment.
What do you think the difference between you starting the app today, like now, versus if you had tried to start the app when you had just graduated college?
Oh my God.
How quickly would it have burnt down?
Oh gosh. I mean, every day I'm so much more wiser. So it's crazy to think of myself back then doing it. But honestly, when I was in college, I believe it was college, in the very beginning, I started to get really interested in this world. And it took me years later until I graduated. Until I graduated to actually share online and stuff. I wish I started then. So in a way, I'm like, I wish I started then.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have looked a lot different, but it evolves just like we do as people. But I look back at some regrets because I have videos like I made for YouTube and, it was trying it then, but I needed some guidance to be like, stay with it, Margaret. Like, you got this. I would do it and then I wouldn't post it and then I'd forget about it and then I'd go out with my friends and then I'd come back to it. I just wish I stayed with it because it would have been totally different, but that's okay. We're doing it now and we're doing it smarter and wiser.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually fundraising to start my app when I was like a senior in college.
Look at you.
And then the pandemic happened and my app, it was the Pure World app. It was around travel. And so all of the people I was fundraising with were like, there's a worldwide pandemic. We can't fund anything that's even close to travel. No one knows what the future of travel is. Sorry, bud.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to work. So I actually reverted back to, okay, Pure World. Like, I just wanted a product to sell and to build a business. And so I was just like, well, I'm already selling these awesome hemp backpacks, so I'll just go all in with the hemp backpacks. And I think about like today, if I had received $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 worth of funding and tried to start my app, I would have wasted probably at least half of the money just because because of my lack of wisdom. Like I've learned so much between now and then, and I wanted to like start my own app, but like I just was not ready for it back then. And so like I think it was probably a good thing that someone didn't cut me a check and then like I burnt all their money, and then
that's the worst.
My reputation in the in the entrepreneurship community is tainted because like
that's true.
Someone gave this kid a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And that would have been their problem.
That would have been their problem, but that would not be fun.
Yeah, I just don't think I would have had like the skills or the knowledge at the time to operate it. So I think it's good that like you have spent all this time, and I think also like you have so much knowledge in the space. It's just going back to like, you've been doing it. You were already basically providing this value through different means. And so now you're just putting it under your own house.
Yeah. And with that comes, I want to make sure I'm staying on top of like the trends, or just like the different advancements that come out in nutrition and fitness. And that's why I'm now a student. I'm doing a course for advanced nutrition and exercise through the Body Design University. And the reason why I want to do it is I just want to make sure like I'm on top of my game so I can make sure other people are on top of their game. So things change all the time and I want to just be on top of learning. So today was the first like day I started studying, and it's been so fun because I don't know what it is, but you fall in love again with it when you're starting to learn again. Like there are some things that they're already talking about that I do know, but hearing them, you're like, I don't know, there's something in me that I'm like, oh, I love this. Like I forgot I love this, because you just get so busy with your day to day. So I'm super excited to be able to learn and you know, just continuing to better myself.
Yeah. And the fact that you got to keep on track of like all of the advancements with science.
Absolutely.
And so
yeah,
you're going to do that by staying educated, by continuing to like hear from the cutting edge experts. And I think that makes a lot of sense. It's completely online.
Yeah.
Education.
So the cool thing about Body Design is that so you can get your certification through them, like your CPT. You could also do nutrition through them. But the course that they offer has it all encompassed in one, and it's accredited by like NASM, which is one of the most recognized, you know, certification. But they also do a 2-week in-person training. So I'm trying to line it up where I can go. It's difficult because there are a couple of opportunities that are coming with the ring announcing that I'm like, oh, I can't go that month. And they do them every, you know, I think it's like every other month they do one. But that is what I'm most, to be honest with you, even interested in, because we're going to go over things like form, and we're going to like deal with people, and those things I had to learn on my own. And like I said, I want to know as much as I can. And sometimes, so I would say that someone gave me this really good piece of advice like years ago, and it's called be new, be new. And what it means is like, you may already know something, but don't hush and stop someone. Like let them say it to you, even if you heard it, because there's always something you can learn from that. And even in this situation, you know, there's a lot of things I've got certified, I'm going to know, but there are going to be things where I'm like, like I didn't see it that way, or, oh, you did it a different way than I would have done it, but you still got the same result. So, you know, anytime I talk to someone, or if I'm, you know, in a situation, like if I know something, I let them tell me. And sometimes I'm like, wow, I'm glad you did. Yeah,
that's really good advice. Especially for people who like are trying to go into some sort of a teaching capacity. I think that you learn the most after teaching. Yeah. Like that's where you really solidify your knowledge, is like if you can teach something, then like you've got it. Yeah. You've got it on lockdown. Absolutely. I was going to ask you about, like we were talking about college, and when did you start to like gain Instagram and social media followers? After college, I was working at the Revere Hotel in Boston, and at some point after college, I started to post my journey, and it was a long road. It didn't happen overnight, but it happened maybe a couple of years, maybe, I don't know. But it wasn't until I started posting consistently, and I mean every single day, that I started feeling momentum in like, people start asking me more questions, and like I'd get more views on things. And at that point I was like, wow, like could I make this a career? Because that would be freaking cool if I could. And then it happened, but it was years in the making. You know, it was definitely no overnight success. I know now that can happen, especially with TikTok. But I know I was going to ask, where you were posting on Instagram? Yeah, so it was all on Instagram. I actually never got into TikTok still to this day, which I don't know if I should or not, because there's always that worry it's just gonna go away. And I'm like, is it gonna? Like, I don't even know. But I think it's good to diversify and be on all platforms. So I would be interested in going on TikTok. It's just like so many things to do. And if you're already successful on Instagram, it's like, I don't know, like the hardest thing is to get your first 100,000 followers or something like that. And even the followers on TikTok, you could have 100,000 followers on TikTok, but like you might not, like a fraction of them even see your TikTok videos. Yeah. Let alone like even like your videos or comment on them. And very few of them will even follow you from TikTok over to Instagram. Yeah, that's true. I think Instagram followers are more valuable than TikTok followers. Like probably 3 to 1. Like, yeah, I was actually surprised. So there was a time where I was like, all right, let me start posting stuff on TikTok. And
I did get a lot of like US followers from like Los Angeles and people that would comment stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I thought that maybe what you're saying was like, that was really it. Like, oh, there's not much quality on TikTok. But I was surprised to be like, oh, yeah, these are actual people asking real questions and engaging. So I do think it's important to diversify. Like, you never know what's going to happen on Instagram or TikTok. So like, go to YouTube, like share your stuff everywhere.
Like, own your own app.
Own your own app.
And have like people like, you know, do you have some sort of like a newsletter or something?
I don't, but I will because that's super important.
Yeah, I think for the app
an email list and I did at one time. But it's just being like consistent, also having something to sell. Like at the time, like other than the challenges, like I didn't really have, other than the sense of community, I didn't have anything else to share. But I do find the value in all of that. So as I make this like a huge commitment in my life, I'm going to take it seriously in that aspect. Like actually, as I was growing on social media, there was so many times I was like, oh, this is all going to go away one day. Like, oh, this is like, I just never like accepted like that I was actually building something really cool. Like I remember hitting 30,000 followers and Brendan was like, make a website. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like, you know, it's not going to be anything. And then like 40 and then 50. And then I probably didn't make a website till I had 100,000 followers, which I should have made one a long time ago because you're giving so much value to every single person that comes in. You know, it's not a number game, but you know, every single person matters, but I just felt like it was going to get taken away from me.
Well, like I know stories of people who had hundreds of thousands of TikTok followers and then their accounts got like deactivated or something.
That's horrible. And I couldn't even imagine how that feels.
Like you have a couple 100,000 on TikTok, no longer they're deactivated, but you have like 10,000 on Instagram still. And it's like, but I used to have 100,000 on TikTok and they could just wipe me away like that. And that just like,
I know,
it reinforces the idea of like diversify, like you were saying, but like give people an opportunity to like give you their phone number. To give you their email address to, you know, sign up for,
connect with them. Since I've grown on social media, you know, over 300,000 now, I've become over the years like recognized by having a following, which is cool. But as it's been for a while, like I'm like, I want to be so much more than that. So like my biggest thing this year is finding ways to do things out in real life, you know, and connect with people in real life versus being known for an influence. Like like this is silly in a way, you know, I got to that point. So like, you know, having opportunities where I can use my platform because it's given me such amazing opportunities, but use it in ways where I can impact people in different ways is like super important to me right now. And, you know, this past summer I did an in-person fitness event, which was awesome. I'd love to do more of those, you know, doing now CS boxing ring announcer, like that's awesome. I get to do something where I impact a crowd of people and also am a vessel for the fighters to talk about them, and you know, I'm introing them into the ring. So I love being able to do other things. And you know, I recently spoke to it was like a rehabilitation center for, you know, older folks or people with injuries, that kind of thing. And I got to hang out with some of the older people and talk to them. And, you know, those things aren't social media driven. Right. Sometimes they come back to social media because you do a post or something, which is great. But I'm just finding right now, like that's like my avenue in life. Like that's what I'm so interested in.
Do you find that you have a lot of followers that are like accessible in person, or like you live in New England? So like, do you have a community that's established in New England, or are there people literally dispersed equally all across the United States and the world?
Probably really like evenly distributed, but definitely, you know, being from here, like I do have a good amount of people here, and it's really cool because sometimes you do meet them out in public and stuff, and they'll like it's weird because now me and Brendan are like, you never know who knows who you are. You like, you know, you don't know, and they're not going to come up to you and say something. And sometimes they do. And you're like, wow, that's so cool. Like, and that will never get old. So definitely. You know, even in the fitness space, like a small community in a way. So like a lot of us all know who each other are. We've either hung out or been to the same events. Even in the influencer scene, a lot of the influencers in the city, we know each other. Where you know, and connecting with people like that, then you get more reach and you connect with other people. So yeah, I would say all over, but you know, there are people here. Like I was in California and me and my sister went on a hike, and there was a girl on the same hike, and she came up to me.
Oh my gosh.
What are the odds that would happen?
Yeah.
I'm in California.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, you know, how it works. It's so strange in a way.
How did you react when she came up to you? Were you a little uncomfortable, or were you?
Not at all. I was stunned, but I wasn't uncomfortable. She was super sweet, and I don't even know how that happened. We were doing the Hollywood hike, and she came up to me, and like sister was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, I don't know. Like, I'm in California. I don't think anyone, like, I would run into anyone here.
Yeah.
But I do have a good amount of people from California.
Yeah, of course.
In TikTok, too, for some reason, I have a lot of California people. Maybe it's a big state. Maybe that's why.
It is a big state. But
and fitness is big in California, too.
Definitely. Yeah. So actually, I have a little gift for you.
Stop.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So this right here.
I love it.
This is a little boho bag, and it's closed up right here. But there's. Yeah.
Thank you
Here's
so
the
much.
strap.
Oh my gosh.
This is the Capitola boho bag.
Wow.
From Pure World.
You are the best. This is so exciting.
Yeah. Actually kind of matches your outfit.
I know. If
you could rock it.
I want to put it on, but I feel like I'll tangle myself up.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually not advised while you're sitting down.
This is cute. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
I feel like I'm on like, you know, a talk show.
Yeah,
like,
Oprah.
Gifts.
If you check
I was
under
gonna say Oprah. Yeah.
If you check under your chair, I could have stashed it.
That would have been clever.
That would have been good.
Next time.
I'm gonna keep that one in my back pocket. So tell me a little bit more about this boxing gig. Like, what is it? How did it get started?
Yeah, so I am CES Boxing's first female ring announcer, and it surprised me, honestly. But one thing I knew I had to take it is because it was a challenge, and it was a challenge because one, the voice. Like I had to be like, let's rumble.
You do the.
I don't say that, but that's someone else's.
Okay.
Know. But you know, I have to have a loud voice and I have to be vocal, and you know, I'm naturally like pretty calm and collective. Like I'm not like super loud or anything. So I knew though that would be such a good challenge for me. And yeah, so how it got started is. So I had met Jimmy Birchfield Sr., who was the owner of CES a couple years, I would say like 2 years ago, maybe. And I had the opportunity to interview him and a couple of the fighters for a fight. And when I did that, I had met him. I didn't know I was going to be meeting him. We exchanged. He gave me his card, took a liking to me. I went to his office. I met him. I helped him with some nutrition and his fighters. So that's kind of how our relationship started.
Cool.
And he follows on social media. So we kind of, you know, we stayed in contact that way too. And he needed a ring announcer, and he thought of me.
That is awesome.
And so, yeah, we went out to lunch, Federal Hill.
Yeah.
Took me to the Italian restaurant. He's an Italian guy. And he, you know, told me about the opportunity. And I just was like, I just would giggle because I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to be this person.
Awesome. Oh.
So, yeah, it's super exciting. So what a ring announcer is, if you're unaware, you open the show. You also intro every single fighter, their stats, how much they weigh, professional record, and then you also give the results. So if it goes to the judges' scorecards, you then have to look at the sheet, and then you let them know, or let the audience know who the winner is. So it's an important role, and you also have to like entertain the crowd. The first one I did was March 25th at the Historic Park Theater in Cranston, Rhode Island. And the next one, if you want to come gamble and have some good time, is at Mohegan Sun.
Okay.
So that's
when is that?
April 22nd.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds epic.
That one's a pretty cool one because it's an arena. So there's going to be people all around you. So it's a true ring, you know, and super pumped for that one. I really am. So I had a great time March 25th doing it. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about it. I wasn't sure. I'm like, is this for me? But I had such a fun time. So I'm super pumped for it.
Were you like, do you know much about boxing? It's boxing, right?
Yeah, it's boxing.
Okay. So do you have a history with like boxing?
So I've been a fan of the sport, but I guess to paint the picture a little more, so I did some content creation for another combat sport brand or company, PFL, and I had shared a couple of like things they wanted me on social media for a campaign. And that kind of opened the doors for me in a way, because that's how someone I know, Ed Brady, had said, hey, like, want to interview some of the fighters. So I did that. And then it led me to Jimmy Birchfield, who owns CES, to now be a ring announcer. So I've always had interest in it, but being a ring announcer was definitely never something I could have ever thought of or dreamed up of.
That is so exciting. What like what an epic place to be. And
Yeah.
That's really cool. So is the league, like, I'm not familiar with the league, or so what organization do you work for?
So it's CES. So ES.
ES.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are definitely known in New England. They, you know, do them.
It's like a New England based league.
Well, you can say that they do them everywhere, but primarily New England, and they are always bringing in talent from all over the world. So on the card I had on March 25th, we had someone from Brazil, we had someone from Miami, we had someone from St. Louis, Missouri. So they find talent and they bring them, you know, here, and they have people there. They sign here, or sign, you know, they sign people and then they put the matches together. But they promoted the Tyson Fury fight. Wow. I don't know if you are aware of that. It was like in 2020. It was like the most pay-per-view event. That wouldn't be something I would be the ring announcer for. It's not yet.
But somewhere maybe,
they were involved in the promotion of that. So I was like, oh my God, that's really cool. Yeah. But mostly it's a lot of New England. So they do a lot of the casinos. They have one. They also do MMA. So their MMA is streamed through UFC Fight Pass, which is actually a really big deal.
Yeah. So how often are those fights happening? Like once a month? Yeah. Or like, do you have a contract for like X amount of times? So what does that look like?
Jimmy Birchfield Sr., the owner, he just believed in me. Like I didn't audition for it. I could have been terrible.
You were the right person though. Like
he saw that I could do it and he had no doubt. And, you know, I thought maybe after I do one, he'd be like, you're the official ring announcer. No, he came out the gate and was like, you're the official ring announcer. Like that's it. And I'm in for the longevity of it. So, I don't have any end date. It's just
that's so cool.
This is me.
What kind of preparation do you do for it, or did you do for your first one? Did you have to like mentally get in the zone?
I practice every single day for like at least 2 weeks. And I, was in the shower, I was reading the names, like you don't have to memorize it because you do have a card to look at the statistics, not the statistics, it's the stats.
It's kind of them to give you a card.
Yeah. So that's like really normal in boxing. So I was like, oh, this is huge. Yeah. So that's super helpful, but I still try to remember it and just to get confident about it. So in the car, it's really hard to find places to be in quiet, like without anyone around. It's almost impossible to find. There's always someone that can hear you. So I would do it in the car because that's usually like you're driving, no one's really seeing you and all that, or hearing you. So with that, and then for this next one, I'm actually contacted like a voice coach because I found when I did it, one of my critiques would be, and I was shocked by this. My voice cracked a couple times, and I was like, I did not expect my voice to crack, but it's because you're doing it so loud. And when I practice, I would do it loud, but maybe not as loud as I would, doing it on the mic. And I want to find like how to prevent that. And I think it's something with maybe breath control or making sure it's coming from the diaphragm versus the throat.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to meet with someone. So I'm hoping that that won't happen April 22nd so that I'm actually, improving.
It's kind of like singing.
Yeah.
Like you really have to give it all. You don't realize what it takes until you're in front of the audience, and then you're like taking it up. Like
when I was doing it, I was like, I felt that I was like, oh my God, I'm like almost singing. Cause you're saying the name for so long at one point, like, just say it's like, Boleto. You can hear if your tone is good or not when you're doing that. You're like, ooh, that could be a little bit better here, So you start to realize like, yeah, it kind of is similar in a way to singing, or at least some of the things they'll teach you.
You live an exciting life. You got a lot going on. Your app is coming out soon. You are a ring announcer, a student. Really cool. Thank you so much for coming on the Pure World podcast. Do you want to give the viewers or listeners a little bit of info on how they can support you? Yeah.
So you can follow Sovigor, Sovigor. It's across most platforms, I'd say. My name is Margaret Cresta, and come hang out on my page, send me a DM, talk.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening or watching. This is the Pure World podcast. If you'd like to support us, you can always shop your sustainably sourced adventure gear on pureworldshop.com. We've got something for everybody, whether it's a purse, a backpack, a side boho bag, a wallet, t-shirts, sweatshirts, you name it, we've got it. So if you want to shop sustainably and support a good cause, shop Pure World. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.